what we do affects the direction of the church. What was the last one I had?
Are the sacraments a spiritual discipline?
They're not listed there. I think that's part of the general, that could be part of it, because we could also list, what do I have? Service, stewardship, submission. I'm not going to write those, but you can put those down if you want. We're going to cover, I've got, and there's more, and there's different ways of saying them. We're going to try to cover enough that we've got it all. Sacrifice is a spiritual discipline. It's something where Christ taught, when he was at that time teaching the men, sell all what you have, come follow me. That took something, that was a life-changing thing. Now there's other types of sacrifice that we do. We do fasting. We sacrifice our food to spend, to grow closer to God. But there's also giving sacrificially, which is not tithing. That's saying the church has a need. I need to provide for that. So,
Tithing is a discipline.
Tithing is a discipline. Yeah. It's on my list. It's definitely a discipline. In fact, I'm going to write that one down.
That's a big one.
So, because you put your money where your heart is. We'll go through that some more. All right. So the more we practice these disciplines, the closer we're going to get to God. But like I think Don had said earlier, it's not an outward reading, prayer. It's an inward. It's I'm changing my heart to be more like God. When Steve teaches a class, he likes to spend some time on the negatives of spiritual disciplines, in which they need to be mentioned because we need to realize that it is not the act of doing the discipline gets you nothing. When it comes to, it's not an end in itself. So, if I think that I'm going to get 20 good boy points by reading my Bible every day, that's wrong. My act of doing my spiritual disciplines is going to help me to grow closer to God and help me to be able to be used by Him in a better way.
Discipline can't be burdensome either, though. Just have to be.
Well, we talk about that because you always teach that your service for God shouldn't be a burden to you. It should be a joy to you. But you know what?
That only comes after time.
It
doesn't start off that way.
It's real life. You got to think about it. You can't say that every morning when you get up Sunday morning, you feel like going to church. There's some days that something might happen. And I'm up till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Had a rough elders meeting that week, so I'm upset at a couple people, whatever it is. And sometimes it just takes, look, I do the right thing because I do the right thing. Now, if that's the only reason you're doing things, there's something wrong.
Paul teaches about discipline as something that he doesn't really enjoy very much.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and with Paul teaching about it. And, the same thing. Lifting weights and so on. You don't always feel like working out. But once you see the progress, it becomes that much easier. These things that we're gonna try doing for the next few weeks of Bible reading, of book reading, of journaling, prayer, fasting, all these, some of them are going to be burdens. And some of them may be that, like I said, we don't enjoy because we haven't disciplined ourselves to enjoy them. And once we learn how to do them and understand why it is that God wants us to do, it really helps turn things on. And so, Yeah, there's a lot of times when my wife and I will say, hey, we're gonna fast on X Wednesday. We'll plan it a couple weeks in advance. And when that Wednesday's coming up, I'm getting hungry each day, just knowing I'm gonna go without food. Well, it shouldn't be like that. But until I train myself that this is the way it is, and spend enough prayer preparing, then there is some kind of burden there. But I agree that overall, it's a joy. We're doing it to glorify God and receive enjoyment. The end game is frog, F-R-O-G, fully rely on God. When you take a toy away from a child, they whine and cry. When you take all possessions and loved ones away from a mature Christian, they consider new ways in which to please God and to enjoy Him. So our goal is to mature ourselves for various reasons, to be closer to God, to glorify God, to enjoy Him no matter what. So, any questions so far? Spiritual disciplines, everybody's kind of on the same page. See, everybody's kind of wondering if they're going to make it.
I got a verse. It says, for the moment, all discipline seems to be painful rather than pleasant, but later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it.
Excellent. Where's that at?
Hebrews 12:11.
Hebrews 12:11. Excellent. All right, now let's go over some of the format of the class structure. As you can see already, this class is being taught in a seminar format, which means I will kind of say my thing and then ask you to comment or discuss on it. The whole point is for us to work together to come up with a better understanding. Because even if I, as the teacher, have these set things I want to teach, I may be missing something. I may not getting an insight that someone else needs to understand it, because I have a set of backgrounds and a set of training that I'm coming from. No one else has that exact same thing. Secondly, it's my endeavor to encourage you to practice the disciplines. So each week I'll be asking you to practice them in a certain way. So even if you already have some of these that you do, I would ask you to either change your schedule or add on to it so that as a class we're experiencing this together. So we're doing the same types of reading, of meditation, so on. I want to keep it flexible because I know we all have different work schedules and so on, but I want to keep us on the same track so that when we come in next Sunday, we spend a little bit of time talking about how we did in our spiritual disciplines, then we're all coming from the same picture, from the same place. Thirdly, I've created a blog for this class. For those of you that have computer email set up, I'll be emailing you a link to the blog in which, yes, Leonard.
What's a blog?
Blog, I'll explain that to you. Blog is web log. So it's a internet-based, basically a log of events. So what will happen is I will post something, an article or a statement about what's going on in class or about something that I saw in the reading for the morning. Well, then any of you can then post comments to that.
It's like a chat room for this class.
Right.
On the internet.
Now it's slower moving than a chat room because it's so open. We have to allow or disallow each comment. So there won't be a back and forth because I don't want anybody getting on there that's
No, it's a
not
generalized
of
thing,
ours.
yes.
Right. But it's so you can post a comment, somebody else can see that, comment to that comment or comment back to the main thing as well. And that allows us, the big thing I want it to do is keep us focused on the spiritual disciplines throughout the week.
Alright.
So that we don't have, so it's not as a trial to remember and get ourselves straight. We're holding each other accountable. Yes, Jim?
There are a few folks in here that don't have email or computer access. And I just wanted to mention two things. I'd be happy to bring a printout of whatever's been posted that week on Wednesday nights if you're here. So I'll make sure there's at least one copy and that we can make additional copies. And the second is if you wanted to come down to the church, we can make sure that you have access to a computer here if you want to check it once or twice a week. This isn't going to be something that happens every day or multiple times a day. That's unlikely that John will have that kind of time. But
Right, yes.
so for those that don't have computer,
post something at least once a week.
Yeah.
But it may not be much more than that.
it's not going to be a huge detriment for somebody that doesn't have computer access, but we like to help. If you don't and you would like to have access to the blog, just let us know and we'll work on that.
What do we do? We log on?
When John sends the email, he'll have instructions.
There will be a link. You'll just click on it. It'll go to the site. Yeah.
No, I know.
No. All right. Okay. Lastly, these binders that I handed out with the paper. This is going to be our makeshift journal. And in fact, we're going to go into that next, but let me know if you need more paper. I've also got, oh, each one of these is for one person?
Yes.
All right, I'm handing out now, there's this sheet that says discipline, supporting verses, uses, techniques, and other notes.